What would school be like if a celebrity decided to come to campus? Well, what if that celebrity decided to stay and teach a few classes? This scenario took place earlier this semester. In January, Samford welcomed Jason Barnes, worldwide legend among the theater community. The former production manager of the Cotswold Theatre at the National Theatre in London has come to Samford University to direct the highly touted Chekhov play Three Sisters. With actors like Ian McKellen and Dame Judi Dench showing up at your retirement party, you're quite the UK celebrity. I sat down with him and got a closer look at his short move to the area and what his specific duties are here in Birmingham and in London.
3 years ago I was here teaching and presenting at SETC when it was in Birmingham. And Don Stanley said to me, would I like to direct a play? And it was 25 years since I'd worked in America directing English music hall. And I'd long wanted to direct. And I immediately said to Don I would be absolutely delighted to come here and work with the student body and the faculty in mounting a show. So he said to me, what would I like to direct? And I had studied the Three Sisters in depth when I was training in the mid-1960s, because I graduated in '67 from the Central School and had always wanted to direct it. And Don immediately said, yes, well, we've done The Seagull about 10 years ago. It's about time we did a Chekhov. He'd be delighted to consider that.
So this is your first time doing Three Sisters?
It's first time directing in 25 years and the first time actually working on Three Sisters.
In early January, Harrison Theatre opened its doors to Barnes, where the director worked with the students in the theater department to bring Chekhov's Three Sisters to life. The play follows three young ladies who grew up in Moscow but have been living in a small, boring town for several years. The death of their father urges them to return to their homeland. The story covers their day-to-day struggle to escape the decay of the privileged class in Russia and to one day return to Moscow.
The only thing that grows, the only thing that gets stronger is one single dream: to go to Moscow, to sell up the house, finish with everything here, and off to Moscow. Yes, to Moscow.
Tell us a little bit about your backstory, how you came to be connected with Samford University.
Well, my background is in technical theatre. I grew up the son of two people who ran a non-democratic amateur theatre company where you didn't have turns to play the lead. You were told when you were playing the lead and when you were washing the lavatories. So I grew up with acting edition texts and rehearsals in the sitting room, makeup in the closet, Shakespearean tights in the wardrobe, from a theatrical family.
Barnes incorporated his extensive knowledge into the production. Though it was his first time actually directing the play, he paid tedious attention to detail to help make it a success.
Other than studying it on what we call a paper production, I'd never worked on it at the National. But those notes I kept from 45 years ago and have come in very useful. We've tried to infiltrate a lot of Russian flavor. And a Russian speaker on campus has been working as a dialect coach.
Never mind being human, better to be an ox, better to be a simple horse, just so long as you work.
I think he spent most of his time in the theater area working. He's constantly running back and forth between the costume crew and the set and the production designers and whoever, just all aspects of the show. He was constantly involved for the workday hours. He's very meticulous was the biggest thing. Like, we'd run a full act of the show and then he'd give us notes. And the notes would last much longer than the act. We took maybe 45 minutes for an act and then we were in notes for 2 hours. That's ridiculous.
In the fourth act, we learn there's a river at the end of an avenue of trees. And our job is to set that up, and we've got a little design trick to do that in the fourth act, which I introduced last night, which I think might work.
He's worked with an absurd amount of incredibly well-respected British actors.
I trained at the Central School of Speech and Drama, where Sir Laurence Olivier had trained many years earlier. Dame Peggy Ashcroft is another alumnus. And Dame Judi Dench, who of course is still very much with us, and winning Oscars all over the place.
So you've worked with quite a few big names, I guess, in the London Society. You mentioned Judi Dench earlier. How is that, I know to us that celebrity status, how is that, you know, working with professionals that high?
It's absolutely revelatory. They're all extremely nice people, but their skill is almost untouchable. It's just comes from experience and instinct. Many of the students in the cast are completely instinctive, and one of the things that the director has to do is what we call blocking, putting all the moves in when somebody sits down, when they enter through a door, and so on. And having set that with Don Stanley, the co-director, I've then taken short scenes where I've said they're free to explore the stage the way their instinct takes. And sometimes they come up with sections of text and moves and relationships, bodily relationships with another character on the stage that far improve anything that we had thought up in the first instance. And that's what's really exciting about rehearsals.
Getting to see that change. Everything you've taught them has just
yes,
kind of
and letting
let them go
the
free with
actors
it.
contribute, so that, and also making sure they feel comfortable and natural for the character that they're portraying at that moment, given what's gone before in the text, in the story, what's to come.
At first, I was really nervous because, I mean, it's everyone's goal to, you know, get him to approve and get him to like you. But when he came, he just made us feel so at home, and he treated us like we were all equal, which was really nice. When you got to know him and got working with him, not only was he just your director, but he became one of like a good friend. And I know in any moment, in any time that I may need someone, I would not hesitate to call him. He just made you feel so at home and made you feel so at ease, and he was an honor to work with.
Would you ever want to come back and do another play? You said
I only
mentioned
retired from the National Theatre.
only National Theatre, but still
The world's
teaching.
my oyster,
Yes.
and I'm available.
So that's a yes. You would love to come back.
I would love to come back.